All right. Happy Saturday, everyone. You see my sunflower behind me, so I'm in a sunflower mood 24/7.
All right.
Yeah, man. Welcome back. Thank you for joining Caribbean Diaspora Vibez. My name is Donna Morton. I am the president of Caribbean American Diaspora Alliance, president of Women of Culture Incorporated, real estate broker, Florida Summer Homes Realty, and life coach at Inner Vibes Consulting. We have an amazing show tonight, but let me welcome our co-host. Dr. Bavon is actually behind the scenes, but she is here. We have missed her awesome outfits, I must say, and the head wraps, but I'm sure. What was that?
I'll make a special presentation. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. Thank you guys. The health forums are so important. I would not miss them for the world. And I don't think anyone else should. This is the season where we do a lot of partying and a lot of eating, but we also have to be very conscious of our health. So this is right on time for the holidays. Bless up.
Bless up. All right. And of course, we are joined by no other Louis Witter of Caribbean Rhythms Radio Network. Welcome, Louis.
Welcome, everybody. Thank you, Donna. I want to welcome everybody to the panel this evening as we get started here, Caribbean Diaspora Vibe. We here at Caribbean Rhythms Radio Network is glad to be part of this panel this evening. I want to welcome all the doctors and everyone as we participate in this very, very important subject.
All right, so I'm going to introduce, we are waiting. So our panelists tonight, including myself, but we are waiting for Dr. Christopher Walker to join us. But we do have in place, we've got Dr. Daniel Hay, and
hi, how are you?
We're gonna have Dr. Hay, tell us a little bit, give us a little summary, a little 5 minutes about who you are so the people can get to know you.
Okay. Yes, my name is Dr. Hay. I'm a family physician, and I basically was born in Jamaica, been in the United States since 16 years old, and I've been practicing here in Florida for the past 12 years. Prior to that, I was in New York practicing, so I am been dealing with a lot of issues, a lot of patients, and I am just happy to be a part of this Caribbean Network program tonight, especially talking about health, basic health, and the need for patients, to know more about what they can do to help themselves to be much more healthier. And I think I can contribute a lot to that today. So I'm very happy to be here with you and with the panelists that are here today.
All right, we appreciate you. And, before we wrap up, we're going to want to know, are you taking clients in case people want to reach out to you, or how does that work?
Yes, I'm taking new clients. And the other thing that's going on here, we have a thing where joining up with Dr. Walker. So we're going to be merging our practices into a new practice that's called Orlando Physicians Practice. So as a result of that, we will be taking, we're taking new patients, and we're planning to incorporate, different specialties into our practice. So everyone is welcome, and would love to have you as patients and to be able to take care of you and do our best to get you in a healthy position. So that's,
Wonderful. And so we'll have to get a breakdown of that, if it's going to be general or specialized.
We'll have a combination of both, general, specialty care, both starting off with family medicine, which I'm part of, as well as OBGYN. We'll also be doing other things such as cosmetic procedures, which basically Dr. Walker would be able to stress more about that. Also weight loss, we have weight loss programs. Dr. Walker also be doing the spa on his end as well. And also some plastic surgery and other things. So there's a lot of things that we're looking to incorporate into our practice, and we're hoping that it will grow to the extent that we want to get every specialty involved. So it's a good project that we have on way. So
All right. I love it. Absolutely love the diversity. Thank you. Thank you. So Dr. Walker has
Hi.
joined us. Dr. Walker, you're looking younger and younger by the year. What's going on?
Bless you. You know, when you are able to work with I'm blessed to be partners with my brother. It makes life easier, you know. It's a blessing from the Lord that I, you know, to have Dr. Hay as my partner and as a brother. And we are from the same country, same values, same personality.
Amen.
You know, and so we're doing this thing together, and with God's mercy, God's guidance and direction, we are confident we'll be able to serve the community well. So it's good to see you. You look amazing. I haven't seen you in a long time.
I know. I am
Good
wonderful.
for you, right? That's good for you.
Yeah, man. You see, I'm the sunflowers behind me shows my mood.
I'm telling you. But you know, we are always here for you, Donna. Anytime you need anything, just call away for you.
Yeah, man. Much appreciated. So, Louis, I think that you probably logged on another. So our next guest tonight is no other than Julie Ward, Julie is an herbalist, plant-based nutritionist, and ACE health coach, and a shamanic practitioner. So Julie, give us a snippet about you.
Yeah, hi. So I am new to Florida. I came here from Los Angeles. I've been in Los Angeles for a very long time. And so I've been a plant-based nutritionist and vegan for almost 30 years. So I gave up meat right out of college many, many years ago. And so I help people transition to a better diet, not just for weight loss, and I totally get that, but just to actually feel better and to do preventative health for most people. I also couple that with spirituality behind what they're eating. My cross section is nutrition, spirituality, and quantum physics, and really understanding that our body is this fantastic, beautiful machine. And if we give it everything that it needs, it stays healthy. And so that's my perspective on life.
I love it. I love it. You know, and I just met Julie, and the vibes was just there. And I'm like, Julie, you've got to come on this show. And it's amazing how we will just meet individuals, you know, it's like this path, and we just like, hey, you know, to join. And I really appreciate you. So everyone knows me as, you know, I don't usually do a flyer, but, you know, I'm always the host, but I said, let me do a flyer. So again, I'm Donna Morton, real estate broker, spiritual development and mindset coach. And we believe that, you know, the health of the mind, body, and soul is important. You know, we having a healthy body and a sick mind or a sick soul or heart is defeating the purpose. So, you know, I just feel personally that that's something, a path that I'm led on to touch more on. And it just seemed to be coming together with the awesome panelists this evening. So let's kick this off by recognizing that Blacks, you know, it could be African American, Caribbean American, seem to be number one in so many negative areas. Number one in health disparity, number one in high blood pressure, was it cancer, with diabetes, high cholesterol, heart disease. So what is going on? Who, you know, well, we're going to definitely touch base with the doctors first. You know, do you guys see it in your day? Or I'm not sure if you know, as a family practitioner, are you seeing it? And what can we, how can we kind of steer this back, like shift this?
Well, I see a lot of patients who are, you know, with a wide variety of health disparities, and as African Americans, we tend to have more so most of the issues that you just mentioned: high blood pressure, diabetes, other factors, autoimmune diseases, the problems affecting our weight, and other things that can put a significant strain on our health. And a lot of it, some of it is genetic predisposition, and some of it is also how we eat and how we take care of ourselves. So an important part of making sure you have adequate health is adequate dietary intake, and also having exercise. Do we all do that? No, and that can be a big problem. How we eat and the things that we eat, they're very important. Some of the foods, if they're high in fat, polysaturated fat, foods that are unhealthy, greasy foods, oily foods, a lot of fried foods, those things are not necessarily healthy for us. And unfortunately, in our community, most of the foods that we eat sometimes will entail some of those things. And 50% of having a healthy lifestyle is having a healthy mind as well, and also exercising. So these are things that have to be done in order to make sure that we are putting ourselves in a good position for good health. Now, African American community tend to have the higher numbers of these type of issues, and that's why education is very important. So having a program like this and getting the information out about what they can do to better help themselves to be healthier is a very good thing. And that's why in my practice I stress a lot of preventative care, that how they can better eat, what they can do to help themselves, and medication is also a part of it. As a osteopathic physician, I look at the patient from a holistic way to some extent, but also looking at the whole patient, not just okay, your liver here or your lungs here or something. I look at the whole patient and evaluate everything about that patient to make sure that when I'm treating that patient, it's not just, okay, you have a problem with your kidneys or something like that. I look at everything, and I have to make sure that if there's something else that I can do to optimize that patient to being in a better health position, that's what I'm going to do. And it's always in the best interest of the patient. So, I'm very, I look at things a little bit differently, and the way I'm trained to look at patients, and to help them. And I think I've, been able to do a significant difference in our community, especially. And I want to continue to do so.
Wonderful.
Awesome.
Dr. Walker?
Dr. Walker, welcome, sir. How are you?
He's muted.
Okay, can you unmute? There you go.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate the warm invitation. It's good to see you again.
Yes, sir. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. So to answer the question, I agree with Dr. Hay 100%. We, because of our cultural differences to the other racial groups, we have a predisposition to certain diseases: hypertension, diabetes, hypercholesterolemia, just to say a few. And that's why, we both are really trying to make a difference for our community. OPP, the Orlando Physicians Practice, we have a weight loss program. And it's trying to help people to realize that, start thinking carefully about what you eat, because whatever you put in your mouth will also have an impact in terms of your longevity. Mm-hmm. And I know we as, Jamaicans, we love our yam, we love our carbohydrates, we like the salt. And I'm not saying you can't have that in your food, but you have to have everything in moderation. And so OPP, what we are really trying to do now is to educate the community. We don't want to be prescribing medications. And we are practicing what we preach. For example, I'll share with you all, I've lost close to 70 pounds doing, I mean, you know this, Donna, you have known me for years.
Right.
You know, I just think about what I'm putting in my mouth before, I love the cookies, and Lord knows it's Christmas time. So I have to go get my Grace ham, and I have to go get my the black cake, right? But I have to, instead of getting a lot of black cake, I'm going to take maybe a few mouthfuls, and then I'm done. I'm not going to, continue gorging myself as I would in the past. So I'm here, Dr. Hay and myself are here to support the community and really help educate our people in preventing diseases. And that's our goal.
I like that. I like the preventative part. And sometimes we don't, we're hard. We don't listen. Some people, we don't listen until something comes up, and then now we run to the doctor, right? But it's to hear our doctors telling us preventative. Don't eat. We have to do better. It's an individual, it's a people thing, it's a culture thing all across the board that we have to do better. And we're not like associating the two. We're not associating what we eat with the diseases or the damage. And for some reason, Julie, what's your take on this?
So I agree with everything you guys said, of course. We're all on the same page, but there's a phrase that stuck with me on my journey a long time ago. And it said that, death is a foodborne illness. So our top 3 causes of death, or the things that affect our community the most, heart disease, diabetes, and obesity, are results of food. I mean, some of that may be genetic, but most of it, large part, is food. And so when you look at a lot of the things that people are coming in with, weight gain, diabetes, it is food, but it is also nervous system. We are stressed out. And so when you talk about how we're moving in the world and how we're living in the world, our society has put this real fear culture on us. And I think, Donna, you and I talked about this yesterday. And so that really stresses our body out. And when that puts your body in a state of, flight or fright, then you're going to gain weight. You're going to pick up those bag of cookies. You're going to do the snack thing. You're going to go to your cravings. And so, it's really about, like you said, Dr. Walker, really thinking about what you're eating, right? Instead of depriving yourself, because you don't want to, once you start depriving yourself of things, then you're just going to binge at some point. So it's really about totally changing how we eat as a nutrition plan, like our daily, how you want to eat in your life. What is that? What do you envision? And that's what I talk with people about. What's your goal? What's the legacy you want to leave for yourself, for your family, for your community? And when people come to their wellness and their health from that standpoint, it means something to them. It seems to get in their bones and their soul.
Right.
Julie, that's a very, very good point you brought up about the stress. And I want to go back to the doctor and ask you guys, how much does stress plays in the entire overall of diabetes, pressure, all of these things, because that have a lot to do. I know I am a diabetic patient, and I know one of the things that brought on my diabetic about 10 years ago was stress. Right after the 208, when the when the meltdown.
Don't remind me, Louis.
Yes. I've been in the high pressure business, and I know that's one of the reasons that brought on this thing, along with, of course, eating the same type of food every day, the dasheen, the dumpling, the cocoa, the breadfruit with the jerk pork, And boy, you can't left the jerk pork and the oxtail, all of these things that we eat. But what does the stress play a very important role in these areas of our life as Black people?
Yes, it does. Stress is a significant part of how we focus on eating. And Julie was right in terms of most of us tend to binge on things when we are stressed. Some people eat a lot. Some people eat less, but they don't eat healthy. So having, you know, a lot of stress can be a significant factor in terms of how you develop certain things. In your case, how you develop diabetes. Some people, how they develop high blood pressure. They will eat a lot of things that are salty, even knowing that their blood pressure is already high, they just can't help themselves. So these are important things. A psychological treatment in terms of making the patient understand certain things and dealing with whatever underlying stressors that they have is very important in controlling certain things. And this is one of the things that we stress, you know, I stress as well in my practice, is not just okay, pushing medications and stuff, but also talking to the patients to see what underlying issues that they may have that, you know, I can better help them with. And that in some ways will in essence help them with dealing with the other issues like their high blood pressure and high cholesterol. So very important. Psychological treatment is very important in terms of dealing with these type of issues.
Love it. And you know, to touch on that, Dr. Hay, that's part of what we do over at Inner Vibes Consultant, because this little piece has been left out, the emotional, the psychological. We are a people that hold on to grudges. Ask any one of us, of a auntie, mother, grandmother, they hold on to grudges, they take it to the grave.
Yes.
And
yes.
in doing so, we don't realize how we're harming ourselves, like you said. So all this negativity, all the grudges, the envy, the hate, the strife, it's just really saturating ourselves daily and daily. We're just marinating in this unforgiveness. And I don't think that link has been talked about a lot, right? And I'm so glad to see it now that it's coming out more and more, that your psyche plays a role, your emotional health, it plays a role, that if you're sitting, stewing in bitterness, in grudgefulness,
it plays a role.
Sick.
Sure does.
It does.
And this goes back again to, I know a lot of doctors like yourself, gentlemen, spiritual. Let's talk about the spiritual aspect. And that's what Donna is also talking about when we talk about people are not forgiven and we are all grudge. All those stuff are things that take us to the grave very early in life.
Well,
Absolutely.
go ahead.
Agree.
Dr. Walker, go ahead.
No, I was agreeing with you that, you know, spiritually, it is very important to, and I second what Donna is saying, you know, we have to remember what the good Lord says. If we want to be forgiven by him, we have to approach life and problems and people who have hurt us physically and emotionally and forgive them. Because not only are we are really helping ourselves, right? If we forgive someone who has offended us, we are releasing that negative energy. Mm-hmm. We're releasing it, and we're allowing ourselves to move on to something positive. Fill the darkness with light. And if you're filling that darkness, because the darkness is now going to be on your mind, you're going to be eating more, you're going to be consuming the potato chips, you're going to be having a little bit more jerk pork, with breadfruit, right? And if you have forgiven the person, you're not consumed with something. Instead, you're now occupying your mind with something positive. Mm-hmm. Saying to yourself, okay, you know what? Let me forgive John. That situation, I'll let that I'm done. I've forgiven the person. Move on to something positive. Fill it with light. And now you start telling yourself, okay, I'm going to take care of myself so that I can be a better person. And you start eating right. You start to think before you put something in your mouth. And you know, you are now a responsible person. So definitely I endorse what you're saying and also what Donna was saying.
Awesome.
The thing that I want to add to that is that you know, I look at the human brain just like a computer. You know, a computer, after a while, you can add a lot of things to a computer, to a CPU, and eventually it gets filled. The one thing you don't want to do is to fill that thing with negativity. Sometimes you have to delete the things that are not good from your, from the CPU. So the same thing with life. To try to get rid of the things that are negative and try to, as the panelist has mentioned before, think in a positive way, to try to, use the space for something good and not just think of the bad things. Put those aside or get rid of them, delete them if possible, and try to use that space for something good.
Right. Because a lot of times I don't think people understand what stress is. We know that we go to the doctor and then we just hear, the doctor says to reduce the stress. And a lot of times I don't think people really understand, what does reducing stress mean? They just go home. And so what would you advise like your patient when you're saying reduce your stress?
Stress, it's a combination of different things. And what I usually do when I'm talking to patients about stress, I want to get an idea of things in their life that may be, significant to them, that may be causing them to not be able to focus on life, things that are inhibitory. Sometimes they may be going through personal problems, financial problems, sometimes marital problems, sometimes problem with your children. They may have problems where the kids are on drugs or something going on. They may have problems with your spouse. So there's a lot of issues that, sometimes affect the psyche. And the issue is trying to see what the patient can do in order to put themselves in a better position in terms of dealing with those type of issues. So unfortunately for me as a doctor, I have to, as a family practitioner, it's not just dealing with high blood pressure and all those things, but I have a large portion of my practice is dealing with the psychological aspects of patients' lives. And that's very important, because if you're not psychologically healthy, the brain is what controls everything. And if the brain is not functioning properly, then all the other issues that you have, the weight and all these other issues, can be affected by that. So you have to get the patient to be in a better mindset to deal with their personal issues, and not just say, go and, you have, you need to deal with stress. Stress can be from a lot of different things. And you have to get to the bottom of it to find out what kind of stressors patients are dealing with, and try to help them to better able to cope with those things. Because without that, then they won't be healthy. They will not be. That's very important.
Thank you.
Can I say something here?
Sure.
In regards to the stress, there's a couple things I know, and I don't know, doctors, if you guys prescribe herbs. There are herbs and teas that people can drink that don't necessarily interact with medications. There's one way to do it. I also think, Donna, when you said how do people know? We tell them to stress, and I don't think a lot of people know they're under stress. That's the other thing. I think people are so used to being stressed out, watching TV, things going on in their life, stuff, going on in their environment. They don't know what it feels like to actually be in a relaxed state for a prolonged period of time. And so one of the things that I also do is forest bathing. And I do that in Florida. I do it right now in Mead Garden, and it really helps people to relax and essentially getting back out into nature. So there's a 25-3 rule, 20 minutes a day, 5 days a week, take a walk, go outside. 3 days, 5 hours once a week, go sit in a park. Once a year, take 3 days and go out into the wild, and that really helps reset your nervous system. And that's one of the things we also don't do as much. We don't stop in our day and just take time for ourselves and just sit still and go back out into nature, because it's not just that nature's there and, oh, nature's nice. We actually have a chemical reaction when we go out into nature. And so forest bathing, Shirin-yoku, which is a Japanese term, what it does is they're phytoncides. There's chemicals that come from trees that interact with our white blood cells in our lymph system and actually boost our immune system. So as our body breathes out carbon dioxide, the trees breathe it in and give us back oxygen. We have a real symbiotic relationship with nature, and we're not in it as much as we should be. We don't go out. We don't go to the water. We don't, go out and take a walk in nature. We're so caught up in our lives.
Yeah.
And that's a real big part of the problem. So being able to offer people, for me as an herbalist, it's teas, it's forest bathing opportunities, it's meditation. It's just really being able to teach people how to sit still again. And that helps boost the immune system too.
Yes, you are so right. Louis, all of us, I think, growing up, we used to go outside.
Yeah.
Before school, after school, recess. I mean, we came home when it was dark. Now our children or grandchildren, they don't go outside.
They don't. That is so true. And, I always quote this quote, a doctor friend of mine, his name is Dr. Love, always said to us that for those of us who come from the island into the diaspora here, within 7 years, we come here so healthy, looking so fresh, so good, full of health, Within 7 years, we're sick. Within 7 years, majority of us is sick, because guess what? We get so caught up in this lifestyle in America. We don't walk anymore. We drive our nice big cars wherever we go. If we're going down the road, we don't drive, we don't walk. We drive just a block. We take on all these processed food on ourselves. We don't go outside. If you even look in the pandemic, we were dying because we have no immune system, because we don't go out in the sun. We don't go out and take 15 minutes at least once or 3 times a week in the sun and get that vitamin D that we need, our body need. And so you're absolutely right, Julie. Those are the things that we need. So I would advise all of us from the island, listen, man, we all need to go back home 3 times a year. Go to the river. I grew up in my country, man, in Portland. The river. We were in the river so often as young men coming up. We were on the guava tree, the apple tree, the mango tree. So when you're talking about things that comes down from the tree into our body, we were climbing those trees. So it's definitely in our system. So that's a very good point. And I am going to make sure I make a trip between now and February back to my island. And I am hey, because guess what? They're scared you about the forest here, because all they said is snakes. And we don't like snakes, okay? So I advise all of my counterpart, all my island people, let's go back to the island and get back to we used to live there. That we're missing that, doctors. Am I not correct, sirs?
That's true. It's funny you said that, because in terms of treating my patients, a lot of times when I get like blood results, and I noticed that in Florida here, majority of the patients in Florida are, you would think that with all the sunlight that we have, and the majority of them are vitamin D deficient.
Yes.
And sometimes, like my patients, I'll say, okay, I'm gonna give you a prescription to go to the beach. And they laugh. They're like,
Right.
I say, you need to go to the beach and have some more sunlight. I said, make sure though, if you go, that you wear your sunscreen to prevent, UVB rays from getting skin cancer. But I do recommend that a lot to my patients, to go out more in the sun, especially in addition to giving them, vitamin D supplementation. But I push for them to have more dietary intake of dairy, like milk, cheese, yogurt, stuff like that that will increase your vitamin D levels, as well as more meat sources, red meat, chicken, fish, and also beans. So those things will help to improve your vitamin D levels. But I also stress getting some more sunlight as well, but not without them having the proper sunscreen to protect themselves, during that time. So it's very good that you mentioned that, because that's a very important part of helping our patients to treat their problem, especially vitamin D deficiency. So
Absolutely,
As
absolutely.
we touch on food, do you think we as African American, Black American, Caribbean American, do you think we eat too much meat?
No, I don't. I think that meat is an essential part of your diet. It can be. The important thing is one is how it's prepared, and also two, if it's lean. I tell my patients that they can have meat, because it's a good for protein. You're also getting several nutrients and vitamins, from the meat. But if it's prepared in a way where you're using too much salt, or you're cooking with certain types of oils which are not good, or if the meat is not lean, you have to cut away the fat. Some of the patients that I take care of, they tend to do a lot of barbecue and stuff, and they use a lot of salt on the meat, which is not good for their blood pressure. So I tell them to minimize the salt. And if there's a lot of fat, to get rid of the fat. Some will tell me, oh, that's the best part of it. It's like when they eat oxtail. Some people say, oh, the oxtail, the fat on the oxtail is the best part. And I said, no, you get rid of the fat, because that's not healthy for you. So it's a matter of how it's prepared. And the same thing with chicken. I always say, get rid of the skin from the chicken. A lot of, us West Indians and stuff, we love the fried chicken with the skin on it. But I say, no, that's not healthy. Get rid of the skin, get rid of the fat from the chicken, and try to air fry if you can. And try to, if you're going to be cooking, try to use like virgin olive oil. This is the best one that they recommend. And try to minimize the oil for gravy. People take the oil for gravy and just throw everything on top of everything that they eat. So how you prepare your food and what you eat is very, very important in terms of overall health.
Absolutely.
Walker?
No, I absolutely concur with Dr. Hay. It's all about the portion control again. But I don't think eating meat is really a problem. I think we as West Indians, we definitely like our meat, and of course fish. And I would definitely encourage those protein sources. But again, portion control. That's what I'm really trying to emphasize, because I did it for myself and it worked. I was diabetic. Just like Louis, I had the diabetes, and I was on 3 medications to control it. And of course, with the stress, and just by lifestyle changes, which I have to do every day. It's a choice that I have to make every day, because Lord knows I'm tempted, but it's not worth it. So my hemoglobin A1C is now 5.1. Diet only.
Yes.
And I can sleep at night, and I'm not having the sleep apnea and all of these other problems that were plaguing me.
Mm-hmm.
So I definitely agree with my colleague Dr. Hay. Eat your meat, but cut the fat off the meat, and don't be ingesting all that oil. And think clearly. Are you going to use the virgin olive oil? Or are you going to use the
canola oil?
Yes,
right.
yes.
Yeah.
Another thing that I noticed, there's a lot of oil that produce, and a lot of us do not. I start take notice of it. We are soup people. We love our soup on a Saturday. That's culture for us on a Saturday. We have to have our soup. But the soup is also, there's a lot of oil in our soup, and we still get up and drink the soup because we boil that meat out, we boil that chicken out in the soup, we boil everything out in the soup, and it becomes oily. And so that's a lot of intake that we do with oil in our soup. And so that's something that I would advise people who, all of us mostly for Caribbean people, a lot of fat of the meats that we cook, it comes out, but we don't skim it off. We just drink it. We share it the same way, and we give it to our kids. And I'm talking to parents as well. But we need to start look at the end of the day when you cook that soup, we have to skim that fat off because all of that oil is there. If you freeze happen to freeze that soup, and you look on it later on, everything on the top is all fat. And so we do all that intake of so many fats. So we never, if we're not looking on these things as we go, as we eat, we're consuming oil and fat every single day or every week. If once a week, if we do soup, it comes from everywhere. So you guys are absolutely right. And my wife is the one who say, hey, every time I notice she's always skimming off things, I'm saying, give me the soup, where you show the soup for? you know what I mean? Until it really catch me and say, oh my gosh, one day I look and say, oh my gosh, look how many oil is on the top of the soup. Wow. And from that, I get very conscious of it and make sure that I skim my oil off the soup.
But, you know, to follow up on what Louis said, you know, we should really start focusing also on educating our children. Because they are, and I really want to emphasize what Louis has said. I mean, we need to educate them to think before they put something in their mouth. The chips, all of these snacks that are processed foods, as Caribbean people, we don't have that back home.
No,
so
we don't.
We try to help our kids who are here in the US. I'm not bashing this country, but you know, their food is different than how we all grew up. And we really try to help our kids to avoid childhood obesity, because it's a horrible thing. I know Dr. Hay can expound on it, but in terms of the risk factors for childhood obesity with diabetes, hypertension, kids get these issues. And the thing, you don't want them to be plagued with this problem. So it's prevention is the key, I think.
Absolutely.
And we start in the home by educating our children regarding healthy food choices.
Yes. Well, what I want to mention is that for childhood obesity, 30% of kids on a whole are considered obese, which is a significant number when you look at it, because most of it has to do with just the lifestyle changes that that you guys mentioned earlier, in terms of how you feed your children and how you educate them in terms of what they need to eat and what they shouldn't be eating. And unfortunately, sometimes, you know, your kids, when you're with kids, they love the McDonald's. They want to stop and eat the fries. They want to, you know, eat the things that the chicken nuggets. They want to eat the things that you and I know are not necessarily healthy for them, but just to keep them quiet, we tend to give them those things. And in essence, the long-term problem with that is they develop childhood obesity and other complications associated with that last a long time and can cause early childhood problems, heart disease, which is very common in our community amongst kids. And that's something that's unacceptable and should be changed. And I'm happy, you know, that Dr. Walker stressed about and Julie stressed about the, you know, educating, you know, parents and stuff to let them know that, you know, it starts from early. You know, when you start to give your kids healthy foods, it makes them live a healthy lifestyle. And that's what we want to achieve. So that's very, very important. Education in terms of not only for the kids, but also for the parents, for them to know that they need to do certain things that are going to be beneficial for their children long-term and help them to prevent them from developing certain diseases at an early age, which could be detrimental. That's very important for them. So that's a good thing to stress.
Thank you.
Also, if I may say, also not just the parents, doctor, but the wives. Wives play a very important role in our life as men. The wives are very important because they are the one who cook. Most of us, we depend on our wife to cook a good meal, a healthy meal for us. And so the women in our life play a very important part in what we eat and how we eat these things. Because if you notice, the average man die 20 years younger than the wife. We all are dying out as men, leaving our women. And that is not good. We need to find a way to live as long as the women are living in our lives. If you look around this world, in our community, the men are all gone, leaving the women. That is not good in no way, shape, or form. So we want to talk about how the wife help to curve the man, talk to the man, the husband, make sure that he's eating healthy. I know a lot of us are stubborn. We are stubborn men. We are headed, we are the ears, and we don't listen. But the wife, you wife, have a very important role to play in our life. I have been, and I thank God for my wife being a nurse, and she pounded it in me. She pounded that in me. You can't eat that, Louis. You're not supposed to. We look on things like colonoscopy. Men don't want to do it because they don't want another man look where they need to look to find out if we're going to have cancer or if we're going to die or live. And it's a foolish way for us to live. So we need education, yes, but the women, you guys play a very important role in the life of all of us as men.
Louis, I'm gonna give you, Louis, I'm gonna give you the credit for being one of the bravest men I've ever to say woman, because men do cook too, but it's important for both for parents, both men and women, to look at things in a different way in terms of how they take care of their children. And you're right, yes, sometimes in some households the women are the ones that do most of the cooking, but in essence every one of us should have a role in terms of how we approach taking care of ourselves and taking care of our children. Absolutely. And making sure that we're all living a way that is going to be healthy for all of us. So Louis, I don't just say you're a very brave man, but
and before Julie speaks, Louis, you should know that women do more meditation, we do more gratitude therapy, we do more forgiveness. We talk to our sister girlfriends, and yes, we release the stress in these ways, in these holistic. We take walks together, and you guys, you don't really connect on that level, so that's why you get stressed out more. So
that's true.
Take a chapter. Yeah, take a chapter from our book. Is that we talk, and when we were trying to push you guys to talk, want to talk. Oh, you talk too much. You see?
Well, yes, you're correct. You're 100% correct.
Well said.
I see 90% of the men in my practice, when they come to my practice, usually their wives probably beat them over the head for them to come.
Yes.
They won't come on their own accord. So the woman they have to or something bad happens, then they say, okay, at this point, I have no choice, but I have to go. But most men have a fear of going to doctors. And we have to change that mindset, because education is very, very important. Louis, you stressed on something that I wanted to mention, is about, for example, for colonoscopies, especially like in a country like Jamaica. Jamaica has the highest rate of death from prostate cancer. Oh, and in terms of when you look at overall compared to other countries. And I think that, and most of it is because of our culture. As you mentioned, certain things that men don't want to do, and also because of poor education. So one of the things I try to stress is educating patients that, look, you want to be able to catch things at an early stage. you want to prevent things from happening in the first place. But if you go for frequent checkups, it does help to, if something should happen, to catch it at an early phase and to take care of it. Because sometimes when it's at a late stage, there's nothing much you can do. And I hate to see patients when they're in that situation where they're very reluctant to get care until the last minute, when you're trying to do everything to save their lives.
Mhm.
And sometimes it's very difficult. Sometimes it may not happen. And this is why, education is very, very important. We stress that. My practice, we have pamphlets that we give out to patients. We tell them a lot of times, to make sure. Sometimes they'll come and say, Doc, I don't want to do this. I don't, but I said, it's important. It's very important. If it wasn't important, I wouldn't tell you. And the same thing that I'm going to tell you to do, the same thing I would do for myself or for my own family. So I'm not going to tell you anything different that I wouldn't do for myself. So this is a very important thing, to make sure that education, as far as men are concerned, that they're more educated about a lot of the issues dealing with their health, because they don't want to go to the doctor. They don't want to help. They don't want to do anything unless they're forced to do so. And that's very important.
Thank you.
Very good. Doctor, what about drinking? I have some water. I have some wine. And I have some rum. Let's talk about.
Hang on a second, Louis. I think Julie had a quick comment.
Go ahead, Julie.
I did. I wanted to jump in. You guys have been having a great conversation, and I have just a difference of opinion on a couple things in regards to the meat from a plant-based perspective. So hopefully I can share this here. And so I know that you agree that, meat, and I get it. Sometimes, everybody's body is different. And so I totally get it. If you need to eat, you need to eat what you need to eat, right, to be well. But oftentimes when we say people, it's okay to eat meat, people will eat meat 3-4 times a day, right? They'll have bacon for breakfast. They'll have meat or something for lunch. And then they'll have, like you said, the soup with all the meat and the oil in it for dinner. And that's a lot of meat for the body, and so there are other ways to get some of those nutrients too, that I just want to make sure we put it out there to the people, so that people have the option to make their own decisions. Because according to the World Health Organization, processed meats are a class 1 carcinogen, and that puts them in the same category as tobacco and asbestos. But let's be clear, when I'm talking about processed meat, I'm talking about overcooked, like you were talking about highly cooked meats. We're also talking about like hot dogs, deli meats, that kind of stuff, salted, curing, smoking meats. So those things still do affect the body in a way that we really want to tell people to back up off of those just a little bit. Because again, I come from a totally different place, plant-based perspective, but don't get me wrong. I've been to the Caribbean, I've eaten the food, I've traveled around Africa many times, and I've cooked the same meal, but with vegetables and plants. And even the meat eaters are like, oh, wow, it tastes delicious. So there's ways to substitute to still have that cultural satisfaction, but still really be healthy when we're eating our food. And so that's just my perspective, being, not eating meat for 30 years. I don't have any real issues. I'm not on medication. I'll be 58 in February.
All right.
And so,
Wow.
I'm healthy. We all the same things. We all have issues living in the environment we live in America, right? So I just want to say that there are other alternatives to some things, that besides just always meeting the meat and the dairy for a particular nutrient. There are herbs, there are vegetables. There's so many other wonderful plants on the planet that have such good vitamins and nutrients for us. And that's my piece.
Right. Thank you, Julie. And the meat that we eat today, like, growing up, we used to, kill the cow or kill the goat or whatever. So it is different. It's different today. Even our fruits and vegetables, everything is really different today than what we got 20 years ago. So thank you, Julie, for bringing that up for those individuals that want to have a different choice. I think we're just eating too much food. We're just eating too much. If you look at people in the East and how they they're like Dr. Walker says, they're portion size. I think our portion size and you know, it's too much, and that's a problem too. It doesn't give, you know, our body just doesn't, there's no time to digest. It's just food, food, food all the time. I would love to hear from Dr. Walker. Tell us what the changes that you did for your weight loss.
So portion control is number one. That's the key. And so what I find myself doing is eating very small quantities frequently. I'm always grazing on something. Then I'm thinking in terms of my snack. I'll be honest with you, I have a weakness for carbs. So the cookies, and when I'm extremely stressed, I like to have some potato chips, the salt. Well, I realized that's not healthy. My cholesterol was through the roof.
Okay.
So I changed my dietary intake. I no longer have any processed foods. And to talk about to follow up on what Louis said, he's absolutely right. When I came here from Jamaica, fresh off the boat, I was this weight. And over the time of living here, and I'm not bashing this country, over the time of living here, I just continued to get fatter, gain weight. Why? Because I was having all this processed food, steak. I was having, and to follow up on what Julie is saying, I was having like 3-4 steak meals a week, right? And I don't need to have a porterhouse steak every time, right? I was gluttonous. I'll be very frank. So the key to my success is portion control. And then choices. So I no longer desire salty things. I don't want that, because I don't want the blood pressure to come back. I don't want that problem. So I'm not going to have the potato chips. It's not worth it. And I'm not going to I don't need the cookies. And I don't need the carrot cake with the cream cheese frost. It's not even worth it, you know?
Yes.
Instead, why don't I go down to Caribbean Supercenter and get some cane, you know, and something healthier. I can eat some fruit. And to follow up on what Louis was saying, organic, if we can afford it, is better than the processed. So go get some fruit, man. Get some fruit, cut up the fruit. I'll go run to my desk, have some apple slices, and that would be my snack instead of throwing down some chocolate chip cookie down my throat. No, I have an apple. And that is much more satisfying and has worked for me. And I have no regrets.
Love it. Sounds like what Julie was saying, just, you know, kind of just staring a little bit to more natural things, our fresh fruits or veggies, you know, instead of the process. And we see, especially in our African-American communities, all around, all we see are the KFCs or the Church's Chicken or these types of, and they're cheap.
Yes.
Actually,
Fast food.
types of food are cheaper than healthy food.
Right. And it's cheaper for a reason, right? This is
Right.
Yes.
food that we grew up eating. We never grew up eating that stuff. And what the sweet that we would have in the plate would be some plantain, right? That's what we have. We didn't have cookies and
Right.
carrot cake with cream cheese frosting. It was plantain. And if we get back to nature, we get back to how we grew up, it will make us live longer.
Yes.
You know?
And the funny thing about it, you know, when we were back in the island eating those things, as you said, Dr. Christopher, eating plantain for breakfast and all, we thought we were poor. No, we thought we were poor and eating the worst, but we were rich in health. We were very rich in health, eating and communicating. We sat at our table every day with our siblings and our grandparents. We sat, we eat. All those are things that help our immune system. All of those things are things that help us to live longer and healthier and a more prosperous life. But then we are so glad because, hey, we want to come to the big city and see lights and cookies and all of these things. And, You know, so again, it also go back to our mindset. You know, how do we think? How do we grow up, and what is it that our goal is? So again, education, continuous education of the things that we should or should not eat is key. And our young people, our parents have a job to do right now, not tomorrow, right now. We need to stop the obesity. We need to tell our kids what not to eat. We need to go back to basic and cut out all these cookies that as soon as a kid cry, we give them a cookies, we give them a candy, we give them something. That's how we keep them pacified and say quiet.
Right.
As we pass McDonald's, but I want some fries. We turn and we pacify our kids. McDonald's, and it's killing our kids and it's killing all of us. By the time again we reach 70, 50, we have problems.
Yes.
I was trying to pull up on my phone here. One of the things that we normally give to patients, like a list of what we call heart healthy foods that will help to lower your cholesterol and keep you healthy. And we have on that list 3 categories of foods, which includes the ones that you should choose to eat, those that you go easy on, and then the ones you should avoid. And I give this to all my patients every time they come into my office. I give this to them whenever I'm dealing with issues of cholesterol or high blood pressure or diabetes. I give them on the avoid list. It shows you where things you should avoid include like processed meats, such as bacon or bologna or hot dogs. Also whole milk. Whole milk is only up until 5 years of age. Otherwise, you should be using 1% or skim milk. Stuff like Swiss cheese is no good. American cheese, cheddar cheese, stuff like that. Butter, lard, bacon fat, coconut oil. Coconut oil is good for your hair and your skin, but it's not good to ingest. And a lot of people, they take that, thinking that it's healthy. Also, shortenings, solid shortenings, croissants, pastries. The egg yolk, the yellow part of the egg, is very high in cholesterol. It does have some nutrients and stuff in there, but it's very high in cholesterol, which is bad for your health. Also, the same thing with shrimp, very high in cholesterol, and stuff like avocados, which we can have some heightening of the overall cholesterol levels as well. So other things we have like vegetables prepared like in butter or cream. Coconut, ice cream, chocolate, potato chips, and buttered popcorn. So those are some of the things that I tend to tell the patients to try to avoid in their dietary intake, and I give them a sheet with everything that they should be eating. I don't know if I have time to go over all of those things, but like I mentioned before, lean cut meats, chicken and turkey without skin, fish, the egg whites. You can have beans and tofu, and they put fat-free, low-fat dairy. So all those things and low-fat yogurt, corn, olive oil, and also whole grain bread, and whole wheat pasta, whole grain rice, and plain baked potatoes without the oil or butter. You also have stuff like fresh frozen fruits and vegetables. So these are some of the things that patients should be eating, the ones I just mentioned just now. So, and lots of fruits and vegetables, like Julie mentioned, and stuff. So these are some of the things that patients should be trying to prepare as part of their overall dietary intake. And I stress those things because without eating healthy, without a healthy mind, without exercising, all of those things are, will contribute to your overall health being poor. So that's very important that we, make those things a part of our dietary changes.
Awesome.
Wonderful.
What about salad dressing?
Salad dressings depends. Like some of them are very oily, so you have to be very careful with those. Because those, like you mentioned, just like the soup, some of the salad dressings are very, very oily, and you have to be careful with that. So not all salad dressings are appropriate for for consumption. So you have to be very careful.
And one of the easiest way to make a salad dressing is just take some limes, some key limes or some regular limes, and put your seasoning in it with some onion powder. I did it tonight, lime, onion powder, parsley, basil, and I just put that on my salad and it was really good. So you don't necessarily need the oil, but if you do, really high, good quality olive oil would work on your salads too.
Wow. So to recap what we were saying, stress, food, lack of exercise, your lifestyle and your habits, whether you're smoking, drinking, alcohol, all these things contribute to the crisis, the health crisis that we see just unfolding in front of us. So again, stress, the type of food, the fast food, the processed food, the fried food, eating too much, consuming too much portion size, lack of exercise, our lifestyle, sitting, a lot of sitting, the negative, a lot of tobacco products or alcohol, so all these things contribute. Solutions, it seems like we need to go back to nature more. On what I'm saying is we need to do more outside. We need to do more natural meditation, more breathing, just regular forgiveness, some natural holistic ways. These are the preventative, right? So once you get caught up, like I said, get caught up in the system, and it could be the medical or the incarceration system, legal system. But once you get caught up in the system, that's a different thing. But we're talking about preventative. Each person has to make that choice, and they have to connect that. They have to make that connection. This food equals this result. This consumption equals this result, and I don't think people are putting the 2 and 2 together. So I'm so appreciative for this conversation and to break down, because it's not just one thing. It's a whole, like we like to talk about fueling the mind, body, and soul. It's on all these levels. Going back to nature, go outside, get your fresh air, walk, exercise, eat more natural foods. If you do eat meat, don't eat the steaks every day, like Dr. Walker was saying, right? Portion size. If you do eat meat, make sure you have lots of veggies to go with that, right? Because there are consequences, and we have to stop fooling ourselves that we can do whatever we want, live whatever we want, think whatever we want, say whatever we want, feel whatever we want, and not have a consequences. We do not live in a world like that. There is such a thing as cause and effect, and that's what we're seeing in front of us. So
that's for sure.
Yeah, this is wonderful, wonderful. And we're going to be, keeping up this conversation because it's so needed, and given actual practical advice and tips, because it's not always easy. If you grew up living in an area where all you see around you are those kind of fast food, and your children are growing up eating burgers and fries every day.
It's crazy.
And that's what's happening. I mean, we were blessed to be able to grow up, just go off the trees and eat the mango, eat the this and all the, get the fish from the sea, kill the chicken when we needed it. This is not the case anymore. And our children and our grandchildren are they're suffering.
Yeah.
When we were growing up,
realizing it was such a wonderful blessing, the way how we grew up and what we were eating,
Yeah.
And,
Yes.
but, I wanted to give huge accolades to you, Donna, and to Louise, because what you both are doing, you are educating the community. And I really have to say kudos to you for doing that, because it begins now. You both have a huge platform, and that platform you're using to educate our people. That's what and that's the only way you can make change, right? By education.
Yes.
Amen.
With great humility, my colleague, my Dr. Hay, and myself, we have, as you know, merged, and we now have this practice called OPP, Orlando Physicians Practice. And I don't think, with great humility, I think we are very approachable as physicians, and we are here to serve our community. And if there's any, someone who wants to lose weight, come see one of us. We'll be happy to consult with them. There's no need for people to be limping around with back pains, knee arthritis because of obesity. I mean, I literally go to church and I see people, they can hardly come in through the door because they are with a walking stick or with a cane. But
Yes.
yet they're 300 pounds.
Yeah.
So that it starts there, I'm not going to belabor the point, but I'm just saying, if you stop and think about many, many illnesses or states of illness, if you have obesity as a cofactor, you can definitely eliminate or certainly improve your overall condition. So eliminate the overweight status. I'm telling you, personally, I couldn't climb a stairs. I couldn't without panting, and my knees used to hurt. And I'm saying, but this is crazy. I'm middle-aged. I'm a middle-aged man. I'm not old. So I'm not supposed to be having arthritic changes in my knees that are making me unable to climb my stairs.
Right.
And guess what? 70 pounds later, here I am to say it's true.
Amen.
Again, to you both, thank you for having us. And again, remember, OPP is here to serve our community. And, in any way you want to come see us for a consultation, we'll be happy to sit down, and we're not intimidating. We'll share this journey with you also.
Awesome. My last question before we go. I was talking about water. A lot of us know that water is good for us. A lot of us know that some form of red wine or white wine is good for us. And some of us drink the rum. I don't know how much is good, but some of us will also think it's good for us. Let's talk about, and any one of you on the panel can answer this question. There are ways to drink water than just getting up and just put a bottle to your head. Am I correct, doctor? What are some of the best time and ways to get water into your system so that it's more effective to your body? And in the meantime, you're answering that. What about wine? What are some of the best times to have wine, a glass of wine, to make it be more effective in your body for the best form of health? And for those of us who drink rum, what are the best time to have a little? Because most of us keep a little white rum in our drawer, regardless if we go to church or not. All of us have a little white rum somewhere. That is a fact. If we come from Jamaica, we have a little white rum somewhere. Just answer those questions in any way, shape, or form you can for me, guys.
Well, let me start by saying water is an essential part of your dietary intake. We lose a lot of fluids in sweating. Sometimes we lose it when we exercise. We lose it if you're nauseous and vomiting, or other ways, urinating. We lose a lot of fluids. So it's important to keep hydrated. And by doing so, you need a lot of water. The recommendation is that you, as an adult, you should be drinking at least 3 to 4 liters of water per day. And that amounts to about 6 to 8 of the 16-ounce bottles of water that we should be consuming on a daily basis in order to keep ourselves adequately hydrated. And more so, if you're exercising, you need more to replenish what you're depleting from sweating. So water is very important throughout the course of the day. So at least 6 to 8 bottles of water per day for an adult. As far as the red wine, the American College of Cardiology did recommend that red wine is considered a healthy thing that you could consume for your heart. You know, as far as the other types of wine, that was not stressed. Only red wine was the one that the American College of Cardiology stressed. So
Yes.
so I can't say anything regarding the other wines, but I do like white wine myself. But you know, that's what they stressed. So like the Jamaican red wine, you know, stuff like that, or other red wine is probably healthier for you than anything else. Rum, that's a big one. For me to tell someone to drink rum, it's going to be difficult because you know, alcohol on a whole is a big problem as far as your overall health is concerned. And you have to be very careful with that, because it can be, depends when you say consume alcohol. For some patients, I prescribe like a beer in the hospital for some patients who have problems. Like they have, I'm trying to reverse something and I give them beer, and the nurses were like, what? Oh, you can prescribe beer? And I said, yes, they can get beer. Yes, I prescribe the beer. And,
Yes.
and they freak out. But you also have to do those things in moderation, because overall alcohol can damage your liver. It can lead to liver failure, hepatitis, as well as, you know, pancreatic disease and other problems. So you have to be very careful about how much alcohol you're consuming, because not, you know, you can't say drink alcohol, because people are different. And some men in Jamaica, you know, I know how it used to be, including my own father. They used to drink heavy sometimes, and they'll drink a whole bottle of white rum in a whole day, you know, and stuff like that. So alcohol, has to be very careful. Not only to mention that, but the problems associated with drinking, you have to be careful, because some people become addicted to it, and it can lead to problems, you know, affecting their lifestyle. They get drunk, they can, you know, end up doing things that they may not necessarily would do. So this is the thing that you have to be very careful about recommending alcohol to patients. So, you know, I can't, as far as that is concerned, I'm a little bit hesitant about the alcohol part of it.
Well said.
But the red wine and the and water, I can definitely stress those two things.
Well said, doctor. You're all good.
Julie, yes.
Yeah, can I add something to that? So the water, you asked, like, what's the best time to drink water? Obviously throughout the day, but one of the best times to get water in is like right when you wake up, at least 16 ounces to 32 ounces, just because you're coming out, you've been asleep for at least 8 hours, but some of us are 6 or less, but your body is going to be a little dehydrated. So that's the first time in the morning to get water in before you do anything else. Just get up and drink your water. Sometimes, you know, just have some by the bed, just ready to go when you wake up. And for, you know, I agree, Dr. Hay, about the wine, and, you know, one glass, I like a little wine too. Just, again, it's all about moderation, right? And so time of day, I would think would be in the evening. But one of the things I find sometimes, and even I found myself doing it, you do the late night wine, right? Like you do it right before you go to bed. And when you have a tendency to drink alcohol, like right before you go to bed, you're giving yourself a little too much sugar to rest, right? And so sometimes people find themselves, they do that, and then they wake up in the middle of the night and they're like, why am I waking up? Well, you had a glass of wine at 9 o'clock and you went to bed at 10, you know, so that you didn't give it enough time to go through your system. And then one of the things that I started doing too, which helped a lot with how my body dealt with the wine itself, was every glass of wine, I had 8 ounces of water. So I was never just wine and then wine and wine. It was wine, water, wine and wine and wine. But the goal is to not drink more than 2 glasses, you know, in a time. But it's about having water to offset that.
Awesome.
I'm going to pass on the rum question.
All right.
What is the phone number for Orlando Physicians Practice? You guys
Well,
have
we have 2 numbers currently. We have a 407 802 3233, and Dr. Walker has another number, which he will.
So the other number is 407 333 0496.
Okay, 333-0496, and then 407-802-3233. Is there a a website or anything yet, or you can send that and we can drop it into the chat later?
So, and that, Donna, we both are working on all that. Website to come, and we are, staffing, all of that. We'll have a centralized phone system for both offices, etc., etc. Bear with us, but it's happening.
Sure. What part of town?
So one location is in Metro West, and the other one is downtown Orlando.
Okay.
So there are two offices. The GYN division is in downtown Orlando, and the weight loss, both offices, and of course family practices in Metro West.
Nice. Wonderful. So we'll keep everyone abreast of the website, and you'll have to let us know when you have a grand opening and all these things so we can come out and support.
Thank you. We would both appreciate that immensely.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it. And one thing one last question. Last question. So we know about cigarettes. That's not good for you. Since we as a Caribbean heritage culture, we have so many of our family members that smoke weed. Is there any negative? Because we know the health benefits, but are there any negative benefits because it's still smoking?
Yeah, I'm going to jump in here real quick. I mean, it's a carcinogen. Whenever you burn something, you're smoking in the carcinogenic aspect of, so there's that, which is going to bother your lungs. And I think we know the health benefits of weed, and I'm all plants, everything. I agree with every plant all the time, always. I just do think moderation again, right? I think sometimes we do too much of it, and that can affect us a little bit. And that's what I think about it. But anytime we burn something and inhale it, we're inhaling the carcinogen aspect of it. So there are other ways to do marijuana in tinctures and gummies and other kinds of ways to get that effect as opposed to just smoking it. And in response to that,
teas, like my uncles and used to do the teas.
Yes. Or cut it up and eat it as vegetable.
that too.
Yeah,
Making
put it
it
up and
better,
put it in.
right?
But you got to get the leaf.
Yeah.
My thing is, just get the chill on pipe and just keep smoking. I'm kidding.
That too.
No,
Moderation.
there are
Sounds
health benefits to marijuana and CBD, so there are health benefits to those things, and depends on how you consume it. Like I said, the tea, in teas and stuff like that, it's also very helpful, or in droplets. It's also very helpful. Some people smoke it. Like Julie said, there are carcinogenic factors associated with smoking, so you have to be very careful. And I know in some countries, people have been smoking for many years, and some may or may not have any problems, but you have to be very careful about encouraging smoking, because it develops a practice that you don't want to use on a long-term basis. But there are other ways, like you said, that you can consume and get the health benefits from either from marijuana or some other type of like CBD. You can get health benefits from those products, and I do push those, as I do push them, from my practice, because I think it's it's good for some things. And for my patients who have used them, I mean, they're doing fine, So it's just a matter of how you consume those things.
Wonderful. Awesome. Well, we've had a wonderful conversation roundabout, always ending up in nature. Thank you all. I know it was Saturday night, taking the time from your families and your loved ones. We do have someone that have a comment that's on. She's actually, I believe this is one of my outreach ambassadors, actually from Tanzania. Fiona, go ahead.
Hey, everybody. This was really nice. As Donna said, I am originally from Tanzania, East Africa, but I've been living in the US for nearly 29 years. The take from I think it's Dr. Hay. He talked about vitamin D, and I have a living testimony about my son. I mean, we don't get much sun in New York, and for 7 or 8 years, I was tortured. I mean, he had a lot of problems. Come to find out, he had very low vitamin D, and you know, without, I mean, I don't really like living on drugs or whatever. Try to do natural base plants, like Dr. Julie said. So we tried the moringa and different plant-based that could help him. But that is one issue. I just came back from COP27, and they are really, really wanting the youth involved on every level. They want the youth to be involved, and that's, you know, the way we should be going. I know the speaker spoke, Dr. Christopher, I think.
Yes.
He gave good insights on different aspects, and I like Julie's, and I'm not really fond of the wine and rum, but that's okay. Yeah. So this was very interesting. And the sad part about it, in Africa, we have breadfruit in abundance, we have moringa in abundance. People use moringa tree as an ornament tree, like a decoration tree. It's sad that they have all that and they just don't have this awareness. So maybe when, you know, Donna puts it on the video, I can just plug it into people's network and, you know, let them hear from one-on-one. You know, when to drink water, why is it, you know, to go vegan, which is hard, but I think that's the solution to a lot of our diseases. So thank you, Donna.
Thank you, Fiona. Fiona does a lot of work in Tanzania, and part of my other organization, which is Women of Culture Inc., is we support women on the ground in designated countries in Africa, in the Caribbean, and here, women returning from incarceration in Central Florida. So that is what I have been up to, along with preserving our Caribbean American heritage. And, you know, we are not the group that's going to be doing the partying or the fetes and all these things. We are really here to provide you that health and wellness and healthy lifestyle. So we love our little niche. We love what we do. We love our team, Caribbean American Diaspora Alliance, Caribbean Rhythms Radio Network, and we love you all. We want you to be healthy and wealthy, but we want you to also be happy. And it starts with knowledge. Knowledge is power, but we have to just not know, we have to do, right? At the end of the day, we have to do. So we will keep you guys posted when Orlando Physicians Practice is opening, their website, etc. And we'll keep you posted with whatever event that Julie is going to be doing her different therapies. I will keep you posted when we're doing another gratitude and forgiveness therapy, because all these are, again, holistic ways to just cure the mind, to heal the mind, body, and soul. So with that, we say, God bless you and have a good night. Until next week.
Yep. Merry Christmas.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Awesome.